Today I'm going to break down the topic of visas in Indonesia. So there's quite a few different types of visas which you can get here, but I'm going to stick to the ones that apply to tourism. But the first and most common type of visa that you get here is the VOA. This is the visa on arrival. It's roughly $35 and will give you 1 month of travel time in Indonesia. You do have the option to extend this for a further month if you want to stay a little bit longer, but once your 2 months is up, you need to essentially leave the country. You can come back after this and get a new VOA, and that is what we know as a visa on. The next type is a more longer term visa. It's called the B211A, or also known as a tourist visa or a business visa. So this one gives you 2 months and is extendable a further 2 times. You get roughly 6 months inside of Indonesia. You're not allowed to leave with it and then re-enter, otherwise you need a new visa. So this one costs a little bit more, but it gives you a little bit more time. There are a few drawbacks with it, like in terms of working. You're not allowed to work in Indonesia with this visa. It just allows you entry and you can stay for 6 months. You have 2 types of B211A visa. There's the onshore and the offshore variants. So essentially the only difference is that you've applied for one whilst inside of Indonesia and you've applied for the other variant outside of Indonesia. This matters because if you have an offshore variant, you can only use this once. So come to the end of your B211A, you don't have to leave the country, you can reapply for a new one, but you then need to apply for an onshore visa. So this allows you to stay longer than 6 months, not have to do visa runs or anything like that. So it's quite helpful. Okay, so another type of visa that people get here is the Kitas. This is more like a residency kind of situation. So that would be making your place of residence in Indonesia. That gives you 2 years and you can then exit and leave the country and re-enter freely without having to get a new visa. If you're staying long-term in Indonesia, then a Kitas is a good option for you. There are a few drawbacks with it, i.e. you're not allowed to work in Indonesia with a Kitas. There are other types of Kitas which do permit you to do this. So yeah, the Kitas is more like a resident visa. You can re-enter, leave, come back, and after 2 years, you then pay a small fee to renew your Kitas. One thing to note is if you stay in Indonesia for a total of 10 years with a residency, i.e. a Kitas, you then do have the option to become a permanent resident for free. The last option is, so there's been a few rumors over the last few years about different types of visas that may be coming for expats, like an expat visa, or more recently, I think after the G20 summit, they released the second home visa. So essentially what this is, it's not at all really aimed or suited for expats. It's more of like a retirement option. Again, with the nature of these things, they often don't come to fruition, and it seems to be the case for the second home one. Recently, from the immigration website, all of the application forms and everything have been removed for it. So at the moment, it's not available. If it does get brought back, you do need to have a proof of funds of $50,000 in your account to be eligible for it, and I think it gives you up to 5 years of residency in Indonesia. So let's break down the prices, pros and cons of each type of visa. The VOA is roughly $35 and it costs $35 to renew. You're spending a total of $70 for 2 months. The B211A visa is about $200. You are spending $400 for a total of 6 months. The Kitas is roughly $1,750. This will give you re-entrancy, which is valid if you're considering saving money because you don't have to pay for flights, going in and out of the country again, doing visa runs, that kind of thing. So you should factor that into your equations, and that gives you 2 years. So roughly it equates to the same cost as the B211A visa if you ran that for 2 years. However, you're allowed to leave the country and come back. And then following the 2 years, the renewal fee is negligible. So overall, the most cost-effective visa will be the Kitas fee if you want to stay a long time. Okay, cool. So I hope this video is useful for you. If you're planning on coming through Indonesia, maybe you're planning to travel for a little while or stay for an extended period of time, then you might have a bit more information on what type of visa might be suitable for you. If you enjoyed the video, please do give us a subscription, and yeah, check us out on Instagram. We've got a community channel as well on Telegram, which we talk about events, giveaway tickets, and have other freebies and stuff going on there. So that's worth looking at.